Hello, good morning, students. I hope you all are ready to listen to me right now. Today, I shall be doing lesson on page 79 of your compulsory English book, and the title of our today's lesson is How Do Animals Spend the Winter? Let's begin. The weather gets colder, days get shorter. Before winter, autumn comes and the leaves change color and they fall off the trees. And during autumn, these dry leaves are found strewn all over the earth's surface. Then after autumn, soon the winter comes. Then snow covers the ground. At that time, people live in warm houses and wear heavy coats outside or warmer clothes to keep themselves warm. At that time also, our food comes from the grocery store. We need not worry if we have enough money. But what about animals? What do they do during this winter season to keep themselves warm, to survive the harsh winter? Different animals do different things, amazing things, that is, surprising things to get through the winter. Some of them migrate. This means they travel to other places where the weather is warmer or where they can find food. So they go from colder places to warmer places. Many birds migrate during autumn, as the trip can be dangerous if they fly alone, so they fly in groups or large flocks. A group of birds is called flock. For example, geese fly in noisy V-shaped groups, and this is very enjoyable to look at when the birds or geese fly up in the sky in V-shaped flocks. Geese are aquatic birds which can fly high up in the sky from one place to the other. These geese fly in flocks, but other kinds of birds, they fly alone. And how do they know when it is time to leave for the winter? Scientists are still studying this, that how do birds know that it is time for them to fly to warmer places as winter has come. Many scientists see migration as part of a yearly cycle of changes a bird goes through. That means every year the bird does this in winter. The cycle is controlled by changes in the amount of daylight and the weather. That means when the daylight becomes shorter and the weather becomes colder, the birds start migrating. Birds can fly very long distances. For example, the artitern nests, which means lives, close to the North Pole in the summer, but in autumn it flies south all the way to Antarctica. Each spring it returns north again. So now you can imagine the distance this bird flies. Most migrating birds travel shorter distances. But how do they find their way to the same place each year? Going to some place is easy, but returning to the same place is difficult. Birds seem to navigate like sailors once did, using the sun, moon, and stars for direction. Navigate means to find the right way. The birds also seem to have a compass in their brain for using the Earth's magnetic field. Otherwise, how would they know their right destination? It is not only birds, other animals also migrate. There are a few mammals like some bats, caribou, and elk, and whales that travel in search of food each winter. Many fish also migrate. They may swim south or move into deeper, warmer water. Some insects also migrate. Certain butterflies and moths fly very long distances. For example, monarch butterflies spend the summer in Canada and the northern US. They migrate as far south as Mexico for the winter, from one country to the other. Most migrating insects go much shorter distances. Many, like termites and Japanese beetle, move downward into the soil. Earthworms also move down from as far as 6 feet below the surface. That means migration means to move from a colder place to a warmer one. Distance does not matter and the place does not matter. So, the writer has talked about migration in section A. Now let's go to section B. Some animals remain and stay active in the winter, as they must adapt to the changing weather, which in the lapse of time they have learned to do it very well. Many of them make changes in their behavior or bodies. Like, for example, to keep themselves warm, some animals may grow new, thicker fur in the autumn. On weasels and snowshoe rabbits, the new fur is white to help them hide in the snow. It is hard to find food in winter. Some animals like squirrels, mice, and beavers gather extra food in the autumn and store it to eat later. Some, like rabbits and deer, spend winter looking for moss, twigs, bark, and leaves to eat. Other animals eat different kinds of food as the seasons change. The red fox eats fruit and insects in the spring, summer, and autumn. But in the winter, it cannot find these things, so instead it eats small rodents. Rodents, rats and mice. So, in section B, the writer has talked about different adaptational techniques of animals. Growing thick furs in winter, storing extra food to eat during winter, or eating different kinds of food in the winter. Now, section C. Animals may find winter shelter in holes in trees or logs of wood, under rocks or leaves, or underground. Some mice even build tunnels through the snow to try to stay warm. Animals like squirrels and mice may huddle close together. Certain spiders and insects may stay active if they live in frost-free areas and can find food to eat. There are a few insects like the winter stonefly, cranefly, and snow fleas. They are normally active in winter. Some fish stay active in cold water during the winter. So, in section C, the writer has talked about different hiding places or living places during winter or special places to live during winter. Huddle भनेको एकै ठाउँमा गुटमुटिएर बस्नु जाडोले गर्दा. Frost free areas भन्नाले चिसो कम हुने ठाउँ. And some animals, they stay active during winter to warm their body. When we stay active, our bodies become warm. Now section D. Some animals hibernate for part or all of the winter. This is a special, very deep sleep. The animal's body temperature drops and its heartbeat and breathing slow down. It uses very little energy. In the autumn, these animals get ready for winter by eating extra food and storing it as body fat. They use this fat for energy while hibernating. Some also store food like nuts or acorns to eat later in the winter. Bears, skunks, chipmunks, and some bats hibernate. That means they sleep for a longer duration of time in order to be safe from the cold winter. Now let's go to section E. Cold-blooded animals like fish, frogs, snakes, and turtles have no way to keep warm during the winter. Snakes and many other reptiles find shelter in holes or burrows and spend the winter inactive or dormant. This is similar to hibernation. Winter makes a good shelter for many animals. When the weather gets cold, they move to the bottom of lakes and ponds. There, frogs, turtles, and many fish hide under rocks, logs, or fallen leaves. They may even bury themselves in the mud. They become dormant. Cold water holds more oxygen than warm water, and the frogs and turtles can breathe by absorbing it through their skin. So from section E, we learned that some animals stay inactive or dormant during winter. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, students.